sometimes it's really helpful to just review or return to the fundamentals or basics of the practice, of the training, particularly in the meditation. We certainly one of the predominant characteristics that we all have as human beings is the ability to complicate things, so that getting in our practice, getting too complicated, overthinking, having yet too much. It's it's one of the the aspects of say when Ajahn Chah talks about the characteristic of the Dhamma, of the Buddhist teachings, is that it is a teaching that is just right, and and our propensity or our habit is usually to too much, too complicated, too many plans, too many ideas, too many projections. And certainly one of the foundations and fundamentals of the practice is just mindfulness, awareness, returning to that root of the cultivation of awareness, or in the just in the meditation, this returning to the or reestablishing oneself in the simple quality of knowing, and that in the northeast of Thailand, where I was trained, and where most of the great forest masters come from, they just the main meditation is the using the meditation word of Buddho, and to breathing in, just Bud, breathing out, To, Buddho. So it's just the name of the Buddha, pronounced in the Thai way, Buddho, and it's very simple, but it's very, very effective to help curb that tendency to proliferate or to seek something else, and sometimes we do need to have a variety of tools or auxiliary practices that help support the practice, but as a foundation, or as a fundamental root to keep returning to, trying to keep it simple, and that sense of Buddho, and in the One is a simple technique to help the mind to be in the present moment, not projecting, proliferating, or drifting back to the past and stories that this happened, that happened, it should have been that way, what if it were that way? But it is coming back to Buddho, and grounding it in awareness of the sensation of the breath as it comes in, as it goes out, and and again the simplicity of the sensation of the breath. It helps to cut through the tendency to proliferate, and that simplicity of that sensation can be. We can tune into that so that we can help to both relax the body and relax the mind. Bring a sense of ease into the body, bring a sense of ease into the mind. Breathing in, just settling, relaxing, easing, opening a kind of experience so that it's very easeful, very pleasant. Meditation is not supposed to be miserable. There's the very American approach of no pain, no gain, and that's not the Buddhist approach. It's more like, how do you make things easeful? How do you make it pleasant? Not in the sense that it's exciting or stimulating, but it's pleasing, it's soothing, and to be present with that. So breathing in, using that word Bud, breathing out, breathe whole, Bud, whole. And it oftentimes, certainly in the Thai language, then when it's translated, its primary translation is just the one who knows, which is it's okay, but it's probably a bit misleading. It's probably better to reflect on it as something like awareness itself, just being with awareness itself, breathing in with awareness itself, breathing out with awareness itself. Another in the again in the Thai language, when they translate that word Buddho, is that sense of knowing or awareness itself. Awake, and in the scriptural language, that's probably the primary quality of that word Buddha, Buddho, is awake, and then the quality of being bright or radiant. And so this awareness itself, awake, radiant. Those are the qualities of mind that we can be breathing into experience and then letting that pervade through our whole body-mind complex. It's an exercise in. It's not sort of, I'm doing this so that in later on in my meditation, and I'll get peaceful, or I'll get some experience, I'll get some knowledge. But it's just letting that present moment suffuse our experience with awareness itself, with a quality of being awake, alert, present, be a sense of radiance, spaciousness, brightness of mind. You're not trying to pummel your mind into submission. It's just enjoying the experience of the breath coming in, the breath going out. The mind, the heart, at ease with this present moment, content with it. And that's it's just if we're able to do that, just one breath at a time, we build the momentum of fulfilling the path that the Buddha laid out for us. So it's just using this present moment awareness to bring attention to that quality of knowing, of awareness itself, and that sense of mindfulness. And there is a tendency. Mindfulness is very popular these days, and has been over the past few years. And it gets, I say, a lot of projection onto it, or and misunderstanding, really. Like one of the predominant ways that I sometimes hear or read of mindfulness, like mindfulness being choiceless awareness, and no, it's that. I say that awareness itself that is awake, alert, radiant, open, spacious, that is able to discern and to make skillful choices, because that's the function of mindfulness, is to be able to be within an experience and then to discern, well, what is skillful, what's unskillful, what's beneficial, what's not beneficial, what's wholesome, what's unwholesome, what's going to lead to well-being, what's going to lead to more complication and dukkha. So it is a skill that does require that awareness, mindfulness, and present. But it's definitely not kind of like a choiceless awareness that is just like a passive observer, and which is sometimes as it's presented, and that is like the image that the Buddha gives of in the suttas of one of the common images that the Buddha gives of when he's talking about mindfulness is the mindfulness, comparing it to the wise gatekeeper. Say in medieval cities and towns, you'd have it would be surrounded by a gate or a wall, and it would be there'd be limited access, and the city gates would be at different, usually the cardinal points of the compass, and there would be a gatekeeper who was there to allow certain people to come in and people don't. If they're not familiar, if they look like they're going to be troublesome or difficult or create they're not up to any good. That's the duty of the gatekeeper to not allow them in. So definitely making choices, and it has to be built on seeing clearly, having awareness, and being able to discern and reflect on what that experience is. So that sense of the gatekeeper. So similarly, ourselves, when applying mindfulness, and it's a gatekeeper to our experience of the senses, the sight, sound, smells, taste, touch, thoughts, moods, ideas, and feelings. Are these going to be useful? Are they going to be beneficial? Is it going to be the opposite? We've got to, should we be letting them in or should we be keeping them out? It's not like just like a passive receptor of everything. And being able to, and a necessary part of just living a daily life. We need to be making those choices. It's like if you're going back to, like leaving Abhayagiri, you get in your car, or say here, if there's somebody here has some chore in town, or the lay people going back to their homes, and you get in your car, you drive out to the end of the driveway, and you've got a choice. You make a left turn or a right turn, and you make a left turn, you go back to town. You make a right turn, then you end up in the hills, up in the backwoods, and creek crossings, and you end up lost. And so that you have to make a choice. And so it's a very simple kind of illustration, but it is that those same kinds of choices are needing to be made all the time. What do I give attention to? What do I encourage? What do I believe? Does it lead to increased well-being, or does it lead to more complication and difficulty? And so that the need for mindfulness, and developing that mindfulness it's not just something that we do as a meditation exercise from time to time, but it's something that cultivation of mindfulness in all of our activities, all of the things that we're engaged with. And when we do that, when we come to the meditation, then there's a momentum of mindfulness. There's a momentum of awareness that is much more easily settled, more easily steadied and consistent, so that the mind is more able and willing to be content within its experience and not be getting caught up in its liking and disliking, approving, disapproving. The ways that the mind naturally swings, but that we can return to awareness itself. We can turn to that quality of Buddha, and it's peaceful, but it's also clear, it's awake, it's alert, it's present. So it's something that it has great benefits in our daily life, but also that sense of ease that comes in, say, in the formal meditation as well. But certainly in our daily life, then it's important to be cultivating it. I came across an interesting factoid or statistic that apparently in New York City, Sunday morning emergency room visits, the most frequent cause of emergency room visits is not some kind of gunshot wounds or some kind of beatings or some kind of car accidents or whatever. The most frequent cause for admissions and visits to the emergency room is self-inflicted knife wounds from people cutting their bagels in the morning. And I'm sure it was not done mindfully. So there's just there's this practical, lack of mindfulness. Where does it take one? What happens? Just bringing it into our daily life. Of course, this mindfulness and awareness itself, this cultivation of a continuity of attention and clarity, also has to be held with an overall kind of view or perspective or understanding, and that, say, Ajahn Chah, I remember him sort of saying, the Buddhist path is not difficult. It's not complicated. There's only two things you need to do: just know and let go, and it seems overly simplistic, but then that's also exactly what the Buddha says. And there's a discourse in the Majjhima Nikaya, Middle Length Discourses, Majjhima 37, something like that, and the lesser discourse on the destruction of craving. And the Buddha is asked, what is it in brief that would lead to the ending of destruction of craving, the fulfilling of the goal, the perfection of the path, what is it in brief, and that would accomplish that. And the Buddha says, when a bhikkhu has heard, or a practitioner has heard, that nothing should be adhered to. When no thing should be, nothing should be adhered to, clung to. Then they have heard everything that could fulfill the path. When they have heard that, when they know that, when they understand that, then when they know that, they know everything. When they understand that, they understand everything. And this phrase of that nothing should be adhered to is a phrase in Pali, or the scripture, sabbehe dhamma nalanga binivesaya. So all things should not be clung to, adhered to, or nothing whatsoever should be clung to. So that emphasis on the letting go, emphasis on the releasing and relinquishing. And then when the Buddha says, when the when one has heard that, one has heard everything, one knows that, one knows everything, one understands that, one understands everything. And then what one understands is that the whatever feelings one experiences, whether they're pleasant, whether they're painful, whether they're neither painful nor pleasant, those are all impermanent. And one contemplates one's experience, contemplating one's experience through the lens of impermanence, contemplating through the lens or through the perspective of dispassion, contemplating through the perspective of cessation, of ceasing, and then contemplating through the perspective of relinquishment. And those are the it's a set of teachings that the Buddha applies to many things, but it particularly comes up in mindfulness of breathing. And then when the Buddha taught mindfulness of breathing, Anapanasati Sutta, and various teachings that he gave on Anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, when he fleshed it all out, that was the kind of the culmination. As breathing in, one contemplates impermanence. Breathing out, one contemplates impermanence. Breathing in, one contemplates dispassion or viraga, and breathing out, one contemplates dispassion. Breathing in, one contemplates cessation, the ending of things. And breathing out, one contemplates ending. And then relinquishment, as one breathes in, as one breathes out. So there's the part of it, anicca, viraga, nirodha, patinissagga. Those are the words, and it's that sense of relinquishment and letting go. And so that seeing the fraught or the incomplete or the uncertain nature of all of our experience, and the Buddha uses feeling as a window of as well, when recognizing, because each, just in terms of how all of our mental events in every mind moment has a feeling tone to it. It's just, by nature, that's the nature of the mind. It's the nature of our human experience. And it's that where there is a feeling tone to it. And we do, we experience what is pleasant, and we tend to be, we run after it. There's desire for it. We experience say a painful or unpleasant feeling, and we have a aversion or distaste for it. We have an experience of neither painful nor pleasant, sort of neutral, and it's hard for the mind to work up interest in it because it's kind of boring and it's not so interesting. It's not grabbing our attention. But so that there's these habitual tendencies of reactivity. This is why it's so important to have mindfulness and to cultivate that quality of awareness itself, that aware, alert presence that is discerning. Okay, this is a pleasant feeling, unpleasant. This is, and we, because it's not strange that we have these different. That is the nature of, say, every mind moment is composed of that. That is, and you say that is fundamental to how the mind works. Of course, how we react to it is that's where the problems come, and in a sense, again, that sense of being swept up by desire, being swept up by aversion, being caught by delusion. Those are the reactions. So that we have to see that, understand it, and also that say something that say contemporary psychology has really recognized and honed in on is that say like negativity bias, where we, as a habit, what draws our attention is the negative, something painful, something difficult. We hone in on that, and so it's even because it's yes, it's true that all experiences is either pleasant, painful, neutral, but the way our perception works, say as human beings, or the habitual tendency, is that the negative experience gets more press in the mind, gets more attention, gets more weight, and that's problematic, because if the mind keeps doing it just as a habitual reaction to experience, that's what the Buddhist. This is suffering. This is dukkha, and so that the way out is through this quality of knowing and relinquishing, knowing and letting go, awareness, seeing clearly, and being willing to release and relinquish. And it seems very simple. It's easy to talk about, but it's And this is why it's called practice, because we have to practice doing it. We have to practice to gain experience. We have to practice in order to become skilled. We have to be practiced in order to become more confident in the fruits of this, in the benefits of it. So that is this ongoing practice and training. But as I mentioned at the beginning, I think it's always helpful to come back to return, nurture and nourish our practice, our perspectives in the fundamentals, because it's really when we get those fundamentals correct, when we've got the foundation solid, then we will definitely grow and understand and experience the fruits of the practice. So I'll offer that for reflection this evening.